from what I understand, your mother was born in Cuba and moved to Jamaica, right? You were born in Gordontown, way up in the hills. Your grandmother was a vocalist, and your mother played the keyboard at church.
My mother played the keyboard at church. My grandmother was a singer at home. But when you live up in the hills, if you are singing at home, the whole community can hear you because the wind takes the voice all over. So you don't need a mic. You know, it's such a beautiful feeling, and that was what my grandmother brought to me. She was always washing. When she's washing or doing her yard chores, she would be singing. And I think I gravitated to her singing because I loved it, you know. And I didn't know that I wanted to be a singer, but I was in love with singing, the art. And when I went into Kingston, when I left Gordontown and went into Kingston, I went in search of trying to find a group, a band, because I wanted to express myself like that.
Hold on. Before we get to Kingston, right? I wanted to ask, like, did your mother ever tell you who taught her how to play the keyboards?
Okay. My mother was a teenager when she had us, but she attended the Roman Catholic Church when she was a little girl, and they taught her to play the keyboards. She also played the accordion.
She played the accordion too?
Yes.
That's wild.
Yes. But when she got pregnant, she couldn't be in the church anymore. You know, their custom, their policy was that you can't be pregnant and not married. So
she got like banished from the church almost?
She got banned.
That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
I understand, but I thought you would more embrace somebody and give them support.
That is
and kick
what
them out.
I think, and that is what should be. You know, there are some churches would put you in the back bench, which is wrong. You are a human being and you need to be embraced. You need to be loved. That is a time when you need to be cared for in a special way. That love, that you experience the love of the church. But she was put out because she was pregnant and not married.
All right. So also with your mother, right? I did hear you say that she wasn't the most affectionate person, right?
No.
And I just want to know, like, how did that lack of affection impact you and your relationships with others in retrospect now, reflecting on your life?
Okay. I understand why my mother was not affectionate, because she never got any affection herself. And if love and affection is not poured in you when in your formative years, in your early years, then you grow with that void. And I found that when my sister and I would go, when there's a moment that we say, yes, let us try to reach her now. When we would go to her and wanting to just get a hug, she wasn't there for us. She pushed us away, you know, and I understand now that she herself needed love. She herself was not taught, she herself was not given. So how are you gonna give something that you have never been given? You know, and that is it. I understand clearly where my mother was coming from. She was a teenager. She never experienced love from her mother and from her father. Her father was not even around. My grandmother went to Cuba, and when things got, there was a time when the Caribbean, the people from the Caribbean who went to Cuba, when things were going good, they had jobs over there. And when things went bad, Caribbean people were going back home. And so my grandfather, my mother's father had to return to his country. He couldn't take my grandmother, because he was poor. And my grandmother could not do the same for him. So they parted right there, and he went home, and my grandmother came home with my mother. But she had to work. My mother came home with her mother. And so my grandmother had to work to take care of her. And my mother started having children very, very early. And they were like one behind the other. And I came, I think, when she was 17 years old. So having these children to look after and not having any love, I can imagine how difficult it was for her. And as I say, my sister and I would go for affection and love, but there was none. She would push us off. Okay. So what it did for me when I became a teenager, I looked for love in the wrong places, because, oh, that has nothing to do with Jesus. Yes, so I looked for love in the wrong places. I was searching so much for love, and I would give anything just to receive what is called love, because I don't know what love, I didn't know what love is at that time. And so I mistaken love for some men lusting after me. I thought that was love, so I gravitated to that. And that was when I got into serious trouble and realized that that was not love. And I recognize there is no way you can experience love or you can give love without love being poured into you. So it was later on in life I discovered that I had a problem, not loving and not able to find love. And until I found Christ, I realized that was the love that I needed. And that was the love that has drawn me into love. So I can love others now without others who are loveless, others who sometimes would hurt you. I can still love them because of this love that is within me, this Christ love that has been deposited in my heart.